Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is May 12th, 2025. It is 5:05. We're running 5 minutes behind our scheduled meeting time. We're at the boardroom, Brownsville Public Utilities Board Annex Building, boardroom, 1425 Robin Hood Drive. At this time, I'm calling the meeting to order, which is at 5:05. Confirmation of a quorum. We do have a quorum. At this time, I'll ask Dr. Samora to run us through the Pledge of Allegiance, please, and then we'll recognize a moment of silence.
Sorry, I was late, guys.
At this time, we'll recognize a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Letter D, workshop or public hearings. We do not
None at
have
this
any.
time.
Public comments, anyone registered for public comment?
No public comments.
No public comment. On consent agenda items, I think on number 1, Ms. Gilbert, we're going to be pulling that item.
Yes, that would be tabled at this time. We just noticed that there was some errors.
All right, now we're tabling it. Do we need to take action on this one?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to entertain a motion to,
Yes, motion to pull that item and table.
we have a motion to pull back on item number 1 under consent. Do we have a motion?
I move to take out item number 1 from consent.
All right, do we have a second?
I second that.
Mr. Nahara seconds that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those against? This motion passes. So that leaves us 9 items in consent. It's an opportunity for board members to perhaps want to pull an item for further discussion, or do we want to move to recommend the 9 items that are in place for consent? Okay.
I move to approve consent items number 2 through 10.
We have a motion to approve those items. We have a second.
I second.
Dr. Samana seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those
Aye.
against? This motion passes. We'll now move on to items for individual consideration. The first item being General Manager Report. Ms. Gilbert.
Well, good afternoon, members of the board. At this time, I do want to note a couple of changes on the monthly schedule. On the monthly schedule, we originally had on July the 14th, a regularly scheduled meeting, and my understanding is we're moving on July 7th, and there will be availability. This is in order to accommodate attendance at the July 14th through 16th annual meeting for the Texas Public Power Association. So with that, the calendar reflects it's going to be as the same day as the SRWA board meeting, so no conflict there as far as the SRWA and PUB board meeting, as one is held at noon and the other one will be at 5. So it's just double duty for Dr. Holman, who sits on both of those meetings on that day. The other item on here, when we prepared the agenda, we had tentative dates for the facilities and program committee meetings. And at this time, Dr. Zamora, who's the chair of the facilities and program committee meeting, confirmed a May 27th, the date, meeting at noon. And so if you can mark your calendars for those of there who are on the committee to attend on that. Other dates of relevant importance are noted on there, but I do want to note that on May 26th, that is a PUB holiday. We have June 19th, PUB holiday, June 20th, PUB holiday, and July 4th. All of those days our offices will be closed. If any of you are attending any other additional meetings on behalf of the utility, please let me know. And if it occurs outside of the regular scheduled meeting, Mr. Rendon can go ahead and approve. There is an APPA National Conference in New Orleans if any of you want to attend, but I do note that that is the date of our PUB regular meeting on June 9th. With that in mind, any questions on the calendar before I proceed to the industry updates?
Marilyn, clarify that again. We have a June 9th meeting, and we have a possible conference.
Yes, and
And,
that's the APPA National Conference.
Okay. And the conference starts on what date?
It starts on June 9th.
And the meeting, we have our meeting on the 8th.
The 8th would be a Sunday. If you all want to change it, we can change it.
Is there any interest by any board members to attend this conference? Perhaps we might make some
We can
adjustments.
move to June 2nd and also the same day as the SRWA meeting if you all want to do that.
Yeah, I expressed my interest earlier for
Okay.
the meeting.
Let's see
Okay.
if we can make some adjustments, Marilyn, and move it to June 2nd.
Okay?
Wait, the regular meeting?
The regular meeting, instead of being held on June 9th, we can move it to June 2nd. We will post it on our calendars. We'll make those changes available. And at this time, we'll also include on the June 2nd meeting, the travel approval for any of those board members who want to attend the APPA meeting.
I will not be able to make it on June 2nd, FYI.
Okay, you won't be able to make it for the regular meeting? All right. So, can we work on that adjustment?
We can work on that adjustment if we, on that. I'm going to refer a little bit to legal on the, how many days do we need to notify the public?
Right, the rules provide for due notice to the public when we're varying from our regular schedule, which
Okay.
is the second Monday of the month. So in advance, as much advance notice as might be practicable
Okay.
would be appreciated, I'm
Does
sure.
that require any other action from the board?
If the motion if the board wants to set a date, they can decide on a date now. Otherwise, we can defer to staff to coordinate on when they can schedule something to accommodate everybody.
Well, let's put a motion out there that the board meeting for June will be scheduled for June 2nd,
Okay?
and will be noticed to the public as required by law. So that's a motion. Okay. I can make the motion, I don't have a problem. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Nahida. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those against? So for the record,
I will vote no on that.
is that that's a no from Dr. Samora? All right, so the motion still passes?
Yes.
So the motion passes. We recognize Dr. Samora as a nay on that. All right, the
Yep.
other,
Yeah, I guess we already voted, but,
we already voted?
yeah, I guess what I was gonna say is, if the meeting is gonna be in the second, obviously that's not a conflict for me. If we decide to move it later, and keep it on the 9th, I can call in remote.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's other people that are gonna go to the conference.
Let's stay with the second for now,
Okay.
and let's move that forward. Now, Marilyn, you have other scheduled travel for the staff or for the board for San Antonio?
Yes, that would be, we have it on the agenda that was just approved for consent, the board travel. For those of you who mentioned that the travel of the board members will be attending the annual meeting, and although it says Austin, Texas, is actually in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay. That one you've already processed, and the board knows, your staff knows?
Yes.
Okay. So what else do you have, Ms. Gilbert?
I have a question for, this is also for legal, since we are moving the regular scheduled meeting, do we need a motion at this time for July 7th and versus the regularly scheduled meeting that was originally on the 14th? Do we need a motion for the board?
To be consistent, since you've just adopted that practice, that'd be fine.
So now we're talking about July.
Yes,
We're talking about moving the meeting from
the
July
14th.
14th to the 7th. All right, I'll make a motion that we moved our July meeting from the 14th regularly scheduled meeting to July 7th. And we're doing this,
So moved.
Oh, Joseph is on.
Dr. Holman's, good to hear your voice. Marilyn, we're doing, this recommendation's coming through, or coming to us, why?
The July 7th was accomplished with the annual meeting for the Texas Public Power Association.
Okay. All right, so we have the motion, and Dr. Holman seconded that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those against? Okay, thank you, Ms. Gilbert, for that. Anything else, Ms. Gilbert? From,
For board calendar, that would be it, and I did include on the industry updates, a couple of updates for you all to, if you had a chance to read through them. Of notable significance, we had our Rio Grande Regional Water Planning Group meeting, also known as Region M meeting, held this past week, and we had an update on from the IBWC, which our staff will be presenting during drought update, a little bit more information on the 1944 treaty. One of the important dates to also consider is June 1st marks the date of hurricane season. All of our staff is starting already hurricane preparedness, awareness, and in anticipation of that, all of our training has been complete and submitted plans to the state, to the Public Utility Commissions of Texas. I also included on there in your report just the summary sheets of the draft of the Water and Wastewater Master Plan. We've been talking about that being one of our planning maps that also go into our strategic plan, and in there is just the table of contents. Everything is continued at a later date. We will be meeting and discussing at the facilities meeting with Dr. Samora's Facilities and Plant Program Committee, and the details of what the report is saying. I welcome all of you to attend. It is a very important plan that actually dictates a lot of our capital plans and how we're going to be moving infrastructure throughout the city to accommodate all of the growth on our water and wastewater needs. Similarly, like we've done in the electrical side for IRP, water and wastewater, we also have our master plan in place as well.
Very well. Any questions or comments? All right, thank you for that, Ms. Gilbert.
Okay. And that concludes right now the industry reports.
Pardon me?
That concludes my report.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on to G, number 2, consideration action items on pulled out of consent. We have no items pulled out of consent, so we'll continue to move forward.
We do have a
Well-
table item.
Yep.
I'm sorry, we do. We took action on that item?
Yeah, so I move to table item number 1 from consent that we pulled out, which is approval of the minutes of the joint workshop of the City of Brownsville and BPUB.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Martinez. We have a second for that motion.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Nahida. All those in favor say aye.
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 So this motion passes. The item would be removed. All right, let's move on to staff reports and presentations to the board. Mr. Bettis, you have the financial report.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. So my name is Mike Pettis. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and I'll be presenting the financial performance report as of March 31st, 2025. This is the halfway point of our fiscal year, and I will be going through the whole presentation. So here we've got the executive summary with that focuses on 7 categories. Each has its own gauge meter. I am going to, each of these categories does have a slide that I'll be presenting on, so I'll just wait and provide those details when I get to those slides. Just one important thing to point out is that all the categories except for one were rated as good with the CIP at average. So here we've got the condensed statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. We are comparing the year-to-date actual with the same period last year. Starting off with operating revenues, they were $108,107,000. This represented a $9.8 million increase from last year. The majority of this difference is attributable to use of some rate stabilization funds, about $9.5 million that was used last year to pay down customers' production costs. That was reported as a reduction of revenue last year. and so that makes up the difference. Moving on, operating expenses were $94,050,000. We did see an increase of $4 million over the prior year. Some of these changes, we did see a $3 million increase in the contractual and other services, another $2.2 million increase in personnel cost, and a decrease in purchase power and fuel of $1 million, making up for that entire difference. Line 3 operating income was $14,057,000. Once we back out the non-operating expenses of $8,915,000, we end up with income before capital contributions of $5,142,000. After we add in capital contributions of $6,149,000, we end up with an increase in net position through March 31st of $11,291,000. Adding this to the net position at the beginning of the fiscal year, we end up with a net position at the end of the period of $486,428,000. Here we've got a condensed summary of revenues and expenses. This is based on the flow of funds, and this is in compliance and accordance with the bond ordinance. We are comparing our year-to-date actuals with the year-to-date budget. Operating revenues year-to-date were $103,596,000. This represented $23 million below budget. So this line item includes both base revenues, fuel revenues, and off-system energy sales. So we did see base revenues that were under budget by $6.9 million. Fuel was under budget by $18.3 million, and the off-system sales were over budget by $2.2 million, accounting for the $23 million difference. Other revenues year-to-date were $11,520,000. Those came in $79,000 under budget. We arrive at gross revenues of $115,117,000. Once we back out the fuel and the SRWA contributions of $36,007,000, we end up with an adjusted gross revenues of $79,110,000. This is the basis for the City of Brownsville 10% transfer calculation, so the city is entitled to $7,911,000 through half year of the budget. Then we back out other requirements for O&M, non-operating debt service of $61,982,000, and we end up with the balance available after requirements of $17,127,000. Now we back out the total cash and utility benefit to the City of Brownsville of $7,911,000, and we end up with the balance available for transfers out or BPB uses of $9,216,000. $6 million of that $9.2 million was used to fund our CIP transfers along with our reserve transfers, leaving a balance to replenish the improvement fund of $2,749,000. Our debt service coverage ratio through half of the year was at 2.19 times, well above the 1.25 times debt service requirement. Here we've got the budget to actual O&M expenses, personnel side. We see that our personnel expenses were below budget by $1.38 million, and this was primarily due to the vacancies that we're currently carrying in our books. And here we've got the budget to actual comparison for our non-personnel O&M expenses. Year to date, we did see a $2.7 million under budget, and this is primarily due to some timing issues in the expense side. As mentioned before, we do close our books by the 10th of every month, and so a lot of those expenses, if they don't come in before the 10th for that previous month, they get posted and recorded to the following month. Here we've got the City of Brownsville transfer summary. Here we did see that the total cash utility benefit was under budget by about $880,000. There is a story behind this. Since on the budget side, on the revenues budget side, we're taking half of the total budget for the 6 months ending March 31st, not taking into consideration the fact that we generate most of our revenues at the second part of the fiscal year during the hotter months, right? And so that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons that we say we're still doing or rating this good under the gauge meter is because we also track the unit sales on a month-to-month basis. And on the unit sales on the budget side, they do vary month to month. Those are budgeted unit sales based on historical trends, right? And so what we're seeing at the end of the 6 months is we're seeing that the electric unit sales were above budget by 2.39%. Water was above by 0.35%, and then the wastewater side was down by 4.4% from budget on the unit sales. And so considering that electric is what generates the majority of the revenue, we're on the right trend, right? So the second half of the year, we should be seeing the trend invert. Now we will start seeing where our actuals would start exceeding budget. Here on the other side, on the COB usage, we did see a $740,000 drop from budget. And the big reason here is twofold. One, the street lighting LED conversion project is providing some relief to the city of Brownsville. Right now, we're at 70% completion, and so that's lowering their utility bill. Second is the impact of the fuel purchase and energy charge. The FPEC rate for March of 2025 sits at 5.019 cents per 1,000 kWh, compared to 7.841 cents last year. And so that has lowered their utility bill, accounting for some additional cash transfers. So we did see the cash transfers actually go up by 410,000 above prior year's level. So I know I shared a lot of information here. Do you all have any questions regarding this cash transfers to the city of Brownsville before I continue?
Dr. Zamora?
I'm good, thank you.
We're good? Okay.
Mr. Martinez? Mr.
No
Nahara,
questions,
any
thank you.
questions on that?
All right, we'll continue. So here we've got the fuel and purchase energy charge along with the average electric bill. We see that the average residential electric bill for the 1,000 kWh user is at $111.26, lower than the average IOU and the MOU bills. The FPEC rate was set at 5.019 cents per 1,000 kWh, and year-to-date, BPUB has generated an over-recovery of $21 million, which should aid BPUB in managing the market uncertainty going forward. One other thing to point out is that FPEC rate has remained unchanged since September of 2024. Here we've got the capital improvement plan. I will be skipping this and then the next two slides because this information or more detailed information is going to be provided in a separate presentation following the financial report. Right. So here we get to the key financial metrics on debt service coverage ratio. As mentioned earlier, at March 31st was at 2.19 times, well in excess of the 1.25 requirement by the bond covenants. Our outstanding debt is at $254 million with an annual debt service of $28.5 million. The debt to capitalization ratio for PUB is at 40% with the municipal utility medium at 38%. Our days cash on hand is at 445 days compared to the industry standard of 180 days. On the bond ratings, we got Moody's at an A2 and Fitch and S&P as an A-. All the reserve requirements as per the bond ordinance were fully funded. Here we've got the customer receivable metrics. Year to date, we are seeing that 97.3% of that receivable balance is within 30 days. So that's good. And then the utility assistance given or received by our customers is at $884,465. We do have a separate presentation on this utility assistance as well that will be coming up for. The average customer receivable collection period is hovering around 20 days. And so that concludes the financial presentation. There is a lot of other information that's attached for your review. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for the board members to Mr. Pettis, Dr. Holman? I think we're
None for me.
Thank
good
you.
right now, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Finance Manager. I will provide an update on the CIP budget actual and commitments. and through the month of March. And then Mr. David Ramirez from Asset Management will then provide an update on the cash flow. Looking at this on the top left side, the total CIP budget for FY25, 76.1 million. Actuals through March is 16.9 million, or 22.2% of the total budget. The committed, or these are the open purchase orders, 47.7 million, or 62.7%. And then this leaves an uncommitted budget balance of 11.5 million, or 15.1%. Moving on to the on the middle of the slide, the actuals uncommitted by project type as percentage of budget. 100% of the electrical budget has been spent or committed. 65% of the water budget has been spent and committed, and 93% of the wastewater, and 39% of the general and administration budget. Moving on to the right side, the year-to-date actuals and committed by category, and looking at the top three. Under construction, actuals, 6.6 million spent, and committed of 22.8 million. Grant funded, this is mainly the downtown water, wastewater, ARPA funded to the City of Brownsville. This is actuals 3.4, committed of 10.7 million. And then customer connections of 4.9 actuals, and 3.2 committed. We have also detailed information, detailed slides in your packet, and this concludes my presentation. Any questions before I turn it over to Mr. Ramirez?
Comments or questions from the board members?
On the 39% for
General and
administration, what do we have visibility on why that's lower? Are those what kind of projects?
the total amount of those, it's the total budget for FY was 4.8 million. The actuals 400,000, which is a low amount, and committed 1.6. I don't have a list. Well, the list. I don't recall the specific projects in that category. But
I mean, it's the smallest category
Yes.
Overall, but I was just curious why the number is a little lower. So, yeah, maybe you can get us that information
Yes,
later. Yeah.
we will. Yes, of course.
Anything else on this topic before we move on? Thank you.
What's the money for Hidalgo Energy Center for?
The what? I'm sorry.
The Hidalgo Energy
yes,
Center?
that's the at the bottom. There's a credit, and that's a credit due to prior year capital expenses that were reclassified to O&M this fiscal year. So last
Okay.
year they were submitted to us as capital expenses. As they submit the invoices for this fiscal year, they do a true-up. So they reclassify those expenses to O&M. That's why we charge O&M and credit the capital.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, I think that we'll move on. Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. My name is David Ramirez. The following slide shows the capital cash flow plan for fiscal year 2025, as well as the actual cash flow through the month of March. Actual cash flow began to slide under the plan in February and was underperforming through the month of March by about 5 million. However, there were a group of projects that saw delayed invoicing or pending purchase order updates in a combined amount, also approximately the $5 million, which already started processing last month and will cause an adjustment of the curve and a reduction of the gap this month. Any questions on that?
No, thank you for the update.
Welcome.
Okay. What's the next item? Brownsville Public Utilities Board Quarterly Investment Reports. Ms. Camacho?
Hi, good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Miriam Camacho. I'm the Treasury and Accounting Manager for the Accounting and Treasury Department. I'll be presenting BPUB's quarterly investment report for the quarter ended March 31st, 2025, and stating that the investment portfolio complied with the PFIA and the BPUB-approved investment policy and strategy throughout the quarter. Going on to column A, starting with the asset class, the bank deposits with the market value of $9,741,588.70 was with a percentage of our portfolio of 4.21 and a yield to maturity of 3.22. Continuing with the certificates of deposit with a market value of $6,437,000, a percentage of our portfolio was 2.78 with a yield to maturity of 4.87. Our investment pools had a market value of $167,962,829.97, a percentage of our portfolio of 72.52%, and a yield to maturity of 4.42. And last item on the asset class would be our U.S. Treasury notes and bills with a market value of $47,486,134 with a percentage of 20.49 and a yield to maturity of 4.46. Total market value for this quarter was $231,627,552.67 and a total yield to maturity of 4.39. Continuing with the next slide, this is the comparison between the net yield, BPUB, the S&P Pool Index, and the 91-day T-bill. And BPUB ended with a 4.39%, the S&P Pool Index with a 4.32%, and the 91-day T-bill with a 4.21%. I'll be going into details for the first page I presented with the number 3, that's row 3, and I'll be going over column G. The bank deposits had a market value of $9,741,588.70 and a yield to maturity ranging from 1.65 through 4.17. Certificates of deposit, going over line 31, had a market value of $6,437,000 and a yield to maturity ranging from 4.26 through 5.45. Our investment pools, line 36, with a market value of $167,962,829.97 with a yield to maturity ranging from 4.35 to 5.29. And the Treasury's notes and bills, line 48, with a market value of $47,486,134 with a yield to maturity ranging from 4.22 through 5.07. Our portfolio ended with a yield to maturity of 4.39 and a market value of $231,627,552 with 67 cents. The additional pages are details of the information I just provided. If you have any questions over the information I just went through.
Any questions on this item presented by Ms. Camacho?
No, sir.
No questions, thank you.
This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Brownsville Public Utility Board Utility Assistant Programs. Mr. Rangel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is George Rangel, and I am the Division Manager for the Administration, Customer and Support Services. And I will be presenting today a presentation over the Utility Assistance Program that BPUB currently offers its customers. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, BPUB currently partners with 2 agencies to administer, vet, and process applications for our customer utility assistance programs. The first being the Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, also known as CCRGV, and Community Action Corporation of South Texas, also known as KCOST. And then I'm going to talk about the 2 programs that they currently help us administer. That is the SHARE program, and the Elderly Low Income Assistance Program, also known as ILEAP, and I'll go into guidelines, funding, and distribution for each of those programs. So starting off with our agency partnerships, as I mentioned, we have Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, CCRGV. We initiated a pilot program with them back in May of 2024 for an initial period of 6 months to have an individual who is going to be dedicated to process our applications for our customers. And so this individual at that agency processes all the applications that are submitted, processes all the applications and determines whether they are eligible or not, and then submits the application over to PPUB for processing. Due to the success of the pilot, the contract was amended back on November 1st of 2024 to extend the contract for an additional 12 months. And then, like I mentioned, that contract secured that dedicated employee for both programs, SHARE and the ILEAP. Then we also have our Community Action Corporation of South Texas, KCOST. We also have a support service agreement with them that expires December 31 of 2026. We do pay a 9% compensation for SHARE and ILEAP assistance, so for every application that they process, depending on the amount. So if they process an application for $100, there's a 9% fee that's associated with that BPUB pays on behalf of the customer. I do want to mention that federal funds are administered also through KCOST. They are not, it is not BPUB funded. That is at the federal level, and that is determined year by year how much funding they receive from those agencies. Moving on, now talking about the actual programs. The first one that we have is the SHARE. And the SHARE program is an assistance program for our customers who are experiencing financial distress. And there are a couple of guidelines that they need to meet in order to qualify for this program. The first one that you see on here is low income. And so what does that mean? A household income cannot be more than 150% of the federal poverty guidelines or receive any type of assistance such as food stamps from either the Texas Department of Human Services or any other state agency. And then just to kind of give you a little bit of an example, according to the latest U.S. Department of Health and Services federal poverty guidelines for 2025, a household of 4 individuals cannot exceed $48,225. So that is the guidelines that they use for that. Another one of the guidelines that they can meet, that they can qualify under is medical expenses. So let's say, for example, a family has an unexpected medical expense for somebody in the household, whether that be maybe like a large dentist bill, maybe a surgery that came out unexpected. If they provide documentation proving that, they can go ahead and qualify under this guideline. Disability, if anybody in the household has some sort of disability, they can provide documentation substantiating that, and they can go ahead and qualify under that criteria as well. And then we also have funeral expenses. Maybe they had an unexpected death in the family, and that takes a toll on the family and the expenses that they have allocated for the month. They can also go ahead and submit documentation substantiating that to qualify under that guideline. And then lastly, we have being unemployed. And so if there's some unemployment that happened in the household, like I said, they submit forms to substantiate that. They can go ahead and qualify under that guideline as well. There are some limitations on this program. So first we talk about arrears. And so customer cannot be past due more than 2 months on their account in order for them to be assisted. The bill due date, customers can only be assisted on a bill that is past due. So we can't help with anything that is in the future. So the bill has to be due in order for us to help out with that. There is a cap of $200 per bill per client, and this can cover multiple bills. So for example, if a customer has 1 month, their bill is $100, the next month is also $100, that $200 will cover both bills. And then we cannot award in the same month when an applicant receives through the other program. So these programs that we have, ILEAP and SHARE, they cannot be combined. You either apply and are awarded through one program or the other, but you can't mix them up together. And then assistance may be applied to all 3 of the utility services. We have customers that have all 3 utilities. We have customers that have 2 or only 1. But either way, you're eligible for funding regardless of the utility that you currently have with us. Moving on to the ILEAP program guidelines. This is specifically for elderly low-income assistance programs, and so similarly to the SHARE program, they also have to demonstrate that they are low income. The only added guideline that we have for this particular program is that they need to be elderly, and that is classified as being 62 years or older. They have a similar cap where that can be $200 per applicant, and again, it may be applied over multiple bills. They cannot be awarded in the same month when applicant is receiving funds under Project Share. So like I mentioned, we cannot use both of these programs together at the same time for the same individual. And this can be applied for once every 12 months. The next couple of slides are going to talk about the actual funding that we have, the distribution amount from each of these programs, and then the number of customers that we've assisted. So if you look there at the top row in 2020, the board at that time approved a $2 million contribution from PUB through the improvement surplus funds. And so that was at the height of the pandemic. And so in order to help our customers during that time, the board did approve that one-time allocation of $2 million. And as you can see in there, that year we helped over 2,600 customers, totaling $212,000 between them. And so if you see there going down 2021, 2022, you'll see a huge drop-off in the number of customers that we've assisted. And so that's why in 2024, we decided to have that dedicated employee at CCRGV to handle our applications. So that we can see that increase and make sure that we have the right personnel to be able to help our customers and process those applications to boost up those numbers and to help our customers. And then I do want to apologize on the line 2025 customers assisted. It's not 495 customers, it's actually 3,517. We just noticed that error earlier today, and I just wanted to point that out. I apologize for the oversight. And so total, we had a distribution amount on there for over the years, $1,592,981, and the customers totally assisted were 12,656.
Could you repeat again on the previous slide? On the $2 million contribution that came from PUB?
Yes, PUB, the board in 2020, due to the pandemic, we were approved to reallocate improvement surplus monies of $2 million to help our customers during that time, due to the declaration disaster that the president made at that time and the worldwide disaster that happened due to the pandemic. We are working on trying to see if in the future to be able to sustain this program, because once that funding is depleted, there'll be no other funds, so we'll have to come back with a strategy to figure out how we would fund that. Prior to that $2 million contribution, the only way that we funded that program was through donations and through events that BPUB organized, and individuals would contribute to that through donations.
And what were the average amounts, I guess, before that?
If you see on there, it may be about a couple of $1,000s, maybe at the most, per year. Not a lot of people were donating, and so that's why we had to come to the board in 2020 to try to get some sort of assistance from PUB. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I will add that in the past, what we used to do is hold a golf tournament that would generate around $40,000 a year that we would then contribute into the share program.
And then moving on to the Elliott program on the next page, similar to that budgeted amount and the distribution and the customers assisted. As you can see, the participation in this program is a lot less. We have a lot less elderly individuals who are applying. Again, usually what will happen is that the agency itself will refer the individuals to share, to the share program and go under that category, and that's why you see the inflated numbers on that side as opposed to the Elliott program. But similar to the share, we do have the number of budgeted amount that we have throughout the year that BPUB allocates for this program, and then the distribution amounts and the customers assisted. And so in the last 5 years, we've had a total of $61,400 that's been distributed to our customers for a total of 307 customers that we've helped. And that concludes my presentation. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. I can try to go ahead and get those answers for y'all.
Thank you, George. Any questions or comments on this topic for George?
I do have a question on the CF program. Why would, if there's a 4.7 million in 2023 and then a 4.4 million in 2024, why would only half of that be distributed? Do customers don't approach you all for that on the CEAP program? I don't know. I have that slide here. I don't know if it's.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the CEP program is federally funded,
Uh-huh.
and so that is not PUB. That is through, the agency gets that money straight from the federal agency.
Uh-huh.
And so we have no oversight over that. They help our customers.
But they do help the
But they help the customers, but we don't have any oversight over that. We don't have any guidelines that we go through that. That is all done outside of BPUB's purview. That is simply just, KCOS doing that through federal funds.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And George, just real quick, how does the customer ratepayer access that point of contact for those funds?
So we do have it on our website currently, and then people that come into our building, we do have little vouchers that we give in case they have that information. And then we also have that information displayed on our screens throughout our lobbies. And then again, if people call in and ask, is there any type of assistance that you all offer, we go ahead and direct them to these agencies.
Okay. Anything else on this topic?
Not for me.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Dunhead.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Mr. Flores on the drought update.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Jaime Flores. I'm the Water Resources Administrator, and I'll be giving you the drought update. So compared to last week, we actually had an increase. Last week, we gave this presentation for SRWA, and we're at 20.9, so we went up to 22.5%. So it's a nice little increase there. You can see the combined ownership over the last couple weeks. April 12th was 21.2%, April 9th, 20.8%, and April 26th, 20.9%. We're expecting our National Weather Service May to July 2025 outlook for the Lower Rio Grande Valley, Deep South Texas region. We're expecting an average to hotter than average outlook is favored during the May through July 2025 timeframe. Meanwhile, precipitation remains a toss-up across the region. While there will be many dry days through July, there could be bouts of showers and thunderstorms that should keep the precipitation surplus deficit in balance. So we did kind of witness that last week and even the week before. Showers and thunderstorms that could produce heavy rainfall and localized flooding has to continue to be taken into consideration through the remainder of the spring season and into the upcoming summer season. Falcon International Reservoir remained near historic lows at the end of April. Confidence is very high, approximately 90% on total storage remaining at or near record lows through July. Rains from tropical cyclones such as Alex in 2010 would change this. The 2025 Atlantic hurricane season expected to be slightly above average, though a lean towards being less active across the Rio Grande Valley, Deep South Texas region compared to 2024. Unfortunately, last year we received very little tropical precipitation. NOAA's outlook comes out in late May. Water conservation is key until further notice. Stage 2 restrictions here continue through early spring 2025 and are likely to continue through until further notice based on inflows from Amistad and Falcon. Here's our drought response stages. So one of the reasons for the increase, 20.25, is we did get some water from Mexico. So as part of the 1994 Water Treaty, Mexico must deliver 1,750,000 acre-feet of water to the U.S. from 6 tributaries every 5 years. Mexico has delivered 600,000 acre-feet as part of the agreement. So what they did agree to is it will send up to 420,000 acre-feet of water to the Rio Grande Valley by October, totaling over 1 million acre-feet. To address the amount of acre-feet that would still be owed, Mexico agreed to an immediate transfer of 56,750 acre-feet of water at the Amistad Reservoir. So that's the reason why it went up 1.6%. They also agreed to make monthly transfers at both Amistad and Falcon reservoirs. Mexico also agreed to increase the share of water that the U.S. gets from the 6 tributaries managed by the treaty. Those tributaries are the Rio Conchos, San Diego, San Rodrigo, Escondido, Salado, and Las Vacas Arroyo. As part of the treaty, the U.S. gets a third of water from the 6 tributaries, but in disagreement, Mexico allowed the U.S. to receive half of that water instead of 1/3. Additionally, Mexico will deliver more water from the Rio San Juan. This is a flow not managed by the treaty and which cannot be stored at the reservoirs, when it can be beneficial for the U.S. This does help us and the farmers but not the reservoir levels. Last month, we picked up 124 acre-feet of Rio San Juan water. The two countries will meet in July to assess the hydrologic conditions and evaluate the actions taken thus far. Parties will hold ongoing meetings to agree to plan under which Mexico will make up their shortfall from this 5-year cycle and to make regular, dependable deliveries in the next 5-year cycle for the benefit of users of Texas. So we're still in stage 2. Again, we went ahead and adjusted the times so they can match. Before we had moved them back for daylight savings time, so they match on this slide also on all the information from the PUB websites, so that's all consistent. Again, we're staying with lawn irrigation is allowed midnight through 7 a.m. and from 7 p.m. through midnight on designated water days. The same times for car washing. And additional restrictions on essential watering is prohibited, such as washing buildings or sidewalks, using water for dust control, or allowing water to run off into streets. And hopefully we don't get to stage 3, but it would just be more stringent, where we would only have watering on a designated watering day. Additional restrictions, again, adding water to pools except to maintain structural integrity is prohibited. Operation of any outdoor ornamental fountain or pond for aesthetic or scenic purposes is prohibited, except to support aquatic life where fountain ponds recirculate water, and the use of water from scenic and recreational ponds and lakes, resakas, and pumping water into them is prohibited except when necessary to support aquatic life. Surcharges, we're still working on that. These are the ones that are set so far, but we are working on water contingency, drought contingency plan, or water conservation drought contingency plan. We should have something to the board by June. Our drought messaging through April 2025, the website, drought resources, we had 59 visitors. And on social media, we had 13 posts rated to drought messaging, 5,935 unique views, 397 in reach, and 216 interactions. For BPB TV, lobby messaging was 7,519 views, 2 community presentations, drought-related discussions, and a new strategy launched short format and long format content to inform, educate, and entertain through a dynamic communication approach. Any questions for me?
Any questions or comments from board members about this topic, which is very important?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for updating the times.
Next is we're going to have David give us this presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. My name is David Ramirez. I will be presenting the following board item on behalf of Ms. Marie Leal. As part of the City of Brownsville Street Improvement Project, CIP 2022-005, Brownsville Public Utilities Board, BPUB engineering staff included needed utility improvements to the project design and construction contract for CIP number 3, Walrose Lane. The BPUB portion of the project will include the construction of approximately 3,065 linear feet of 8-inch and 12-inch diameter water line, 3,980 linear feet of 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, and 15-inch wastewater lines, as well as fire hydrants, water services, valves, wastewater manholes, wastewater services, fittings, and other BPUB utility assets. Invitations to bid were advertised by the City of Brownsville on February 1st and January 25th, 2025, and were posted on Purchase's website. Bids were received by the City Purchasing Department on Thursday, February 26, 2025, at 3 p.m., with 3 bidders responding as follows. RBM Contractors LLC with a total bid of $2,985,638.35. Chlor Equipment LLC with a total bid of $3,243,848.05. Jimmy Klausner and Sons with a total bid of $4,093,975.40. The overall low bidder for this contract is RBM Contractor LLC with a utility improvement bid of $982,613.31, and an overall construction bid of $2,985,638.35. Are there any questions on this?
Okay, so your recommendation is, staff recommends approval to reimburse the city of Brownsville?
Correct. BPB staff recommends approval to reimburse the city of Brownsville for the utility improvements for CAP 2022-05, reconstruction of street paving and drainage improvements for CAP number 3 for a total amount of not to exceed $982,613.31.
Okay, we have a motion. Any questions or comments about this topic, or do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Vetiad to approve this item.
I'll second
We have a
it.
second.
Second it.
Second by Dr. Holman. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? This motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I just ask one question? How big is the stretch?
The stretch, it runs from Korea Street all the way to the end towards the west. It's approximately 2,000 linear feet.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that's the last item we have on individual consideration. Before we move into closed session, let me read the following. Recess to close the meeting to consider matters pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Meeting with board legal counsel for advice about contemplated impending court and administrative litigation, and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct conflict with Chapter 551, Section 551.071, including but not limited to the following. Reports of local and special counsel, including regarding potential impending litigation involving Brownsville PUB. Consultation with legal counsel regarding cause number 2021-DCL-05687, Gamis et al. Versus Brownsville PUB in the 103rd District Court of Cameron County, Texas. Updates on pending discussion with the City of Brownsville, including MOU and BTX lit strikes. Updates on contract negotiations related to large-scale business development and exposure to effects of tariffs. Presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of information upon pricing of purchase power, generation, and fuel, and their impact upon the fuel purchase, energy, and marketing charge, Section 551.086. These are these are the items for consideration as we go into closed. Do I have a motion to go into closed session at this time?
So moved.
We've moved to go into closed session by Mr. Vedian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nahida. All those in favor to go into closed session, say aye.
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 All those against? All right, at this time, we will be moving into closed session at 6:03. Okay, we are back from executive session for closed session. It is exactly 7:00 p.m. We do have two items that we are going to take action on. We'll ask our board counsel, Mr. Pequeño, to provide those two items.
Yes, just for the record or for the minutes, Dr. Holman left the meeting at 6:57 during the closed session. Action items after closed, as to item 1B, consultation with legal counsel regarding cause number 2021 DCL 05687, Gomez et al. Versus BPUB in the 103rd District Court, Cameron County, Texas. Is there a motion to proceed as discussed in closed or in executive session?
We have a motion. Do we have
A motion to move as discussed.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martinez, second by Dr. Zamora. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? That motion passes.
And then as to item 1C, updates on pending discussions with City of Brownsville, including MOU and BTX lit strikes. Is there a motion to proceed with the execution of the MOU with the city with an effective date of October 1st, 2025, as discussed in executive?
Move to approve?
We have a motion to approve.
I second
by,
that.
Mr. Varela, and second by Mr. Nahid. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those against? This motion passes. Consideration and action on future agenda items. Anything, any comments or topics that the board member would like to bring forth? Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to close meeting?
Motion to close by Mr. Martinez.
Second?
A second by Mr. Vidal. All those in favor to adjourn this meeting, say aye.
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 All those against? This meeting is adjourned at 7:02.
Dormir.
I'll vote me.